Hello and welcome to The Bottom Line here on TVP World, where we bring you the best of the economic and business stories of the day. I'm your host, Marie Cato. The month of July may not be the month of record summer highs, but it has been the record month for car registrations in Poland, and Chinese cars have pushed in with 8.2% of July purchases in Poland. Jan Kennedy brings us more in his report.
This past July saw a record 55,000 new cars hitting Polish roads, marking the highest monthly figure in 25 years. A notable mention goes to Chinese cars. Their share of new registrations jumped to a record 8.2% in July, up more than 2% in just 1 month. But what is driving this impressive increase? According to experts, it comes down to good value for money.
Some brands are offering SUVs with petrol engines, air conditioning, multimedia systems and 17-inch alloy wheels for under 19,000 euros. And, in many cases, it's thanks to Chinese brands that Poles are able to afford a brand new car for the first time in their lives.
Among these brands, the British-Chinese mark MG posted the biggest growth, rising 105% year-on-year, with over 1,300 new registrations in July alone. The top spots on the list were occupied by the usual suspects, Japan's Toyota and the Czech Republic's Skoda, followed by German brands. And according to SAMAR forecasts, Chinese companies won't break into the top 10 this year. But they are quickly gaining ground, and experts believe they could achieve this feat as soon as 2026. While they're unlikely to overtake deep-rooted national brands like Skoda in the Czech Republic or Volkswagen in Germany, their prospects are much stronger in countries without an established player, especially where they invest in local production.
Suzuki invested in a factory in Hungary, and for a long time it was the most popular brand there, simply because it was made in Hungary and people saw it as a car of their own. Something similar could happen with Chinese brands like BYD, which is currently investing in Hungary. So yes, it's entirely possible that they could become number one.
3 Chinese car factories are currently under construction in Europe, in Spain, Hungary and Turkey. But it's not all smooth sailing. The EU has accused Chinese car makers of underpricing, and last year hit Chinese-made electric vehicles with tariffs of up to 45%. This matter was one of the key points on the agenda at the recent EU-China summit, though no breakthrough was reached. For TVP World, Jan Kennedy.
The Polish car market is getting a little taste of Chinese domination seeping through. Earlier this year, Poland's former Deputy Finance Minister Paweł Karbownik cautioned of the issues China may pose for European markets. But that doesn't necessarily mean much for consumer sentiment. Let's find out what is driving Poles when they choose to buy more Chinese cars. Let's bring in Wojciech Drzewiecki, CEO at the SAMAR Institute for Automotive Research. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
So the first half of 2025 has witnessed approximately 285,000 car registrations in Poland, and the increase of Chinese cars doesn't go unnoticed. In July, we saw well over 4,000 Chinese car registrations. What do you think has triggered the uptick?
The first thing is the prices. The prices connected with good products, that's something which Polish people love, and therefore they choose Chinese products as one of the most popular ones.
And how do European and Chinese cars differ in what they offer at the moment? Is there a chance that there is an element of perhaps trendy novelty in purchasing Chinese cars, and perhaps that might just wear off with time?
The cars coming from China are very modern, well equipped with very good prices. So that's the benefit the customers see looking on those products. You can compare them with European ones, but the prices are something which can convince every customer. So therefore we see a big increase. If you are looking on a Chinese products and the increase we have currently in comparison with other products, we noted more than 360% increase in comparison to previous year. For instance, Europe, that's 6.5%. So Of course, there's different base of calculation you have to bear in mind. The Chinese company started from the low level, but more or less we can expect that the sales will increase in the following months.
And what about the quality of these cars? Because obviously the price is a winning factor, but what about the quality in comparison to brands that Europeans are familiar with?
If we remember the old Chinese cars, they were very bad. Today, the quality is very good, at least the quality we can see, we can compare with European products. So there is no difference, the same material, same quality, and we see that it's improving everywhere. In case of electric vehicles, we can say that they are even better than European ones. Electric vehicles are for different customers. They expect different things. Software-defined vehicles, that's the sentence you have to bear in mind creating new vehicles. And that's the problem for European brands because they are still producing vehicles in the old fashion.
There's no doubt that Chinese brands are trying to replicate Western brands and the models that we are familiar with. So is it just a matter of time and solid marketing before the household brands Europeans are familiar with will get pushed out? It's just enough to look at MG, BYD, JQ, etc.
Looking on current products, the replication was done in the past. Today we are receiving new products, and of course they are very similar to the products which we see in Europe. We have the same body types which are available. SUV means SUV, so they're looking very similar, but inside the cars are different.
Can you tell us a little bit about what we can see inside that's different to the European cars we know?
Much better quality, more entertainment for the customer, for the users. So I expect that there will be even more because Chinese development is quite quick and their response to the customer requirements is much quicker than in case of European car producers.
It's no news that Europe's automobile industry is and has been struggling with now even more uncertainty following the EU-US trade deal. If Chinese cars begin to dominate consumer preferences like you've described when it comes to car purchases, what lies ahead for Europe?
Looking on the European market, you have to bear in mind that the market share of Chinese companies is still quite low. We are talking about expansion, but the market share of Chinese cars in the European Union is less than 5%. If you compare European Union, German market and Polish market, there are big differences. In case of German market, there is 1.8% of market share. In case of Poland, 5.8 for the first half of the year, but in July we see big increase. So current market share on our market exceeds 6%.
And we also need to recognize the fact that it's not just a few Chinese brands that are joining the international car industry mix. We have, you mentioned less than 5%, but this Chinese dominance has been, or increasing dominance has been around for some time. So BYD has been real competition for Tesla, having sold more BYDs in Europe than Tesla in April. Volvo is not really Volvo, but Geely now, which is Chinese. And then there's MG, Leapmotor, Changan, and many other brands, which I suspect that probably the average European driver isn't aware of. What will Europe's response to this be?
The question is what we want to do. From one side, we are talking about security or creating better conditions for European brands. From the other side, if you are looking on potential investments, they can come from China. So we have to find the golden rule and what to do. From one side, we can secure our market to put import duties on all Chinese cars. But the question is whether we want to do that or we want to work together with Chinese manufacturers to develop that market. Nobody knows what will happen in the future. Today, the competition is growing from the Chinese market. We have in Poland 18 brands very active. the more will come next month and the following months. So the competition will be even stronger. And if we are looking on the current situation on the market, the position of the European brands will be lower and lower, weaker for the following months.
But this is something that has been on the cards for quite some time. So I'm sure that in your capacity with the research and also from an economic point of view, this Chinese dominance, not only from the car market perspective, is something that you have been aware of. So you say we have to decide what we want to do, but what are the options?
From one side, we can close a European market for Chinese brands in a similar manner like USA is doing. From the other side, we still can be open to invite them to invest money here in Europe and to develop in a common way new products. The question is whether Chinese brands want to share their technology with us or not. I believe that that will be very difficult to get access to the new technology they developed. We, as a European, help them to speed up the process of development, and that's our problem today.
You mentioned that the market share at the moment, it's less than 5% here in Poland. It's a little bit higher. Can you tell us, perhaps for this year, for the next 2 or 3 years, how far the Chinese can actually dominate, for instance, the Polish market, Central and Eastern Europe, perhaps the EU? Do you have any projections in that sense?
Look on our current projection for whole year 2025, we expect that market share of Chinese brands will be between 10 and 15%. And we can say that even they'll be closer to 15% because they're speeding up the process and more cars are coming to Poland, and they still keep very reasonable competitive prices.
And in terms of looking from the consumer side of things, what kind of reviews are Chinese cars getting? And perhaps, you say that the interior is very good, the technology is very good, visually speaking, they're also very pleasing. But what kind of, are there any disadvantages from perhaps a technical point of view?
We do not see any disadvantages in terms of technical point of view. The only thing we see that it's important and can slow down Chinese sales is the history. We don't know what will happen with those cars. We still need some time to recognize the product, the durability, and that's something which requires time.
And are Europeans, and that also obviously includes Poles, do you feel that they are coming round to EVs, and obviously that includes Chinese EVs, because there has been the opinion that perhaps Europeans aren't actually that keen on electric vehicles and just prefer to stick to the traditional combustion vehicles?
Looking on a drive type which is registered in every market, there are differences in Europe, in German market, Italian market, and in Polish market. Chinese manufacturers are analyzing the market very deeply, and they are trying to give to the customers product they required. In case of Poland, the main product which provides to the Polish customers is the petrol engines and classic hybrids, not the electric vehicles, which consists of the 8% of the market today.
And with the US imposing tariffs on European cars, China offering increasingly higher quality cars, both combustion and EVs, do you think that European cars per se will become increasingly redundant? And so even if it helps the EU move forward towards its climate targets, what does Europe do with its workforce and its infrastructure? What does it do to the industry?
No, the problem is that the climate requirements regarding European Union are too tough for our manufacturers. We have to revise our policy to keep the competitive conditions for our manufacturers. If we will not do that, we will lose our market and position against the Chinese brands. especially if we are looking on the tariffs which were imposed by USA on the European products. They can increase the cost of production. We have to look on that very carefully.
And just looking at brands like Toyota, for example, they really have dominated the market. They're a solid, reliable brand. But in terms of the Chinese players at the moment that are essentially still not very well established, it's still a long way for any one Chinese brand really to dominate the European market. What are your thoughts on that? It's not there's no one household brand, that's what I mean.
Yeah, looking at the current situation, current position of Japanese companies like Toyota, they are very strong on the market and they will keep their leader position, but they are losing the most. So if we are looking on a potential losses or loss of the market share, Toyota is not gaining, they are losing. And of course, that's the problem for those brands.
And there was no resolution. There was nothing addressed in terms of Chinese EVs or just the arrangement that the EU has with China in terms of the car industry at the EU-China summit. Nothing really happened. It was unsuccessful, broadly speaking. But is the EU really going to have to toughen up and readdress this issue in the near future if it wants to protect its car industry?
We have to consider what we should do, in which direction we should go. The import duties only on electric vehicles, that's not safe our market. So we have to look either on import duties on all vehicles, or we should withdraw from that and go deeply in the cooperation with Chinese manufacturers.
But then we have, for instance, Skoda that has had a really good year so far. It really would lie in the EU's interest to protect Skoda, keep it going and support it. So do you think that in order to protect a European brand like that, that the EU really should opt to keep itself more European than allow EU flooding, Chinese flooding?
It's very difficult to answer on that question because from one side, Skoda and Volkswagen Group, they improve products a lot and they have very nice models offered today to the customers. So the competition from Chinese is very problematic for those brands, but I hope that they will survive and they will offer the products to our customers, which for many years were the primary products to choose.
Okay, thank you very much, Wojciech Drzewiecki, CEO at the SAMAR Institute for Automotive Research. Thank you so much for your insight today.
Thank you.
And that concludes The Bottom Line for today. I was your host, Marie Cato. We bring you the best of regional business Monday to Friday at 5:10 CET on TVP World. And in the meantime, for the latest in regional business, follow us on X and on tvpworld.com. Goodbye.